Chi Minh City today on a visa run, I think, to Phnom Penh. Need to figure out this new e-visa situation. So I don't know whether I'll be going for a few days, a few weeks, or 3 months, depending on who you believe. But for now, I come down one of these alleyways, keep out of the heat. Parallel alleys too, by the way. It's a network. If you see what I mean, it goes up that way and there'll be more. I'm just taking a little detour. Well, we have a lot to get through today. In fact, so much I'm going to have to do this in 2 parts. So this is part 1, where I'll set it up and provide a bit of context, discuss exiting Vietnam, and then we can have a little interlude of the flight from Ho Chi Minh City to Phnom Penh. And then I'll discuss a few things. The tuk-tuk driver from the airport, dealing with money in Phnom Penh or Cambodia, because they use both American and Cambodian currency. Now when you go to an ATM, often the money is dispensed in American dollars and say $100 bills, which creates a problem because you're dealing with small traders so much and they just don't have that sort of change. So how do you break down those $100 bills? Well, you can go to a bank and do it. That's okay, not a problem. But if it's Saturday or Sunday, the banks are closed. What I do is I'll go to a Western style business like a pharmacy or a supermarket and I'll make a purchase. So plan ahead. Okay, the fun is over. I'm in the coffee lounge in the airport at Ho Chi Minh City with my departure card, cafe latte and ham and cheese croissant. Been through passport control and everything like that, not too bad, not overly busy. And the thing I have to report is that, following on from my earlier video, which was called Vietnam e-visa problem or something like that, I didn't, although I had stated on my e-visa that my port of departure would be Moc Bai, and I was subsequently told by a travel agent that if I left by somewhere else it would take hours to sort out. It would be a real problem and I'd be subject to a fine. No problem whatsoever. I'm not encouraging you to do it. I didn't do it deliberately. It was a genuine mistake. But good to know they didn't make problems. Happy for me to leave. On our way to Cambodia, there's no problems getting in there as far as I know. I had to show my vaccination card here, or my vaccination record. It was all no big problems. So we'll pick this up maybe down at the departure gate. I'm not going to avail myself of the duty free over there. Things will go wrong, unexpected things happen, so you need to be prepared for that, and the costs will probably be higher than intended. But this should get you through, you know, the whole e-visa, how it works, and then the bus companies, the big bus companies, Mekong Express and Giant Ibis, they're not offering a service right now. I found a small bus company, a local one. They don't have an online service, but I tracked down their offices in Ho Chi Minh and Phnom Penh. recorded some of the process there, what happens when the bus comes, buying the ticket, arrival of the bus, blah blah, unexpected things happening, and then going through the border. That's in part 2. And if you enjoy this sort of content, then please subscribe to this channel, because there'll be a lot more in the future, and as the situation changes I'll keep updating it, and I'll try other combinations. There are a few ways to get from Cambodia to Vietnam and vice versa, and how that e-visa system works or does not work, and I'm hoping I can explore most of those, just to save any problems for you at the border or in the process of finding the tickets. Thank you. Now I've heard various things, such as you can apply for a Vietnamese e-visa, it's good for 1 month, then you have to leave the country, it's not renewable. That's correct, but then that you cannot reapply for another 3 months. I'm going to put that to the test. I don't believe it's true. We will find out. Also, do you have to apply for a Vietnamese e-visa outside of the country? I'm going to apply for one from inside Vietnam and see what happens. I had come into Vietnam 1 month earlier from Cambodia, gone through that whole e-visa process. I'd left at the required date, and then this will be the reapplication and attempted re-entry. So there's all sorts of stories floating around. I hope to clear them up. Welcome to Phnom Penh. We'll be going through passport control. I have to produce my vaccination certificate. There'll be some immigration and customs. I'm not expecting any problems. There's no requirement to have tests. You can come in if you're unvaccinated, but I think you have to do a quarantine if you are unvaccinated. Otherwise, it's pretty well getting back to normal. In fact, I saw the other day that the Prime Minister was saying that he wanted to lift the mask mandate. I'm not sure if that's happened yet. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue wearing a mask. Got through all this time without catching COVID. I really don't want to add that complication to my life at this time. It's late afternoon rush hour here. Always exciting to drive through Phnom Penh traffic. Great to be back in the great city. Hello. Is it the whole family? Well, it's early next morning and I have a whole lot of things to do. I'm back where I usually stay in Phnom Penh at the Sweet Home Boutique Hotel. So just a few thoughts on yesterday. On the first part, I've got a whole lot of things to do today. I've got to get the bus tickets to Ho Chi Minh, get a return from Phnom Penh to Ho Chi Minh, because the Vietnamese do require that you have an onward ticket out, even though they usually don't ask. Now I have to go down to the place because they're a smaller bus company and they're not online, so they don't offer an online service. So you go down. I had been to their office in Ho Chi Minh City, seen how they do the whole process, so I'm sure that will work okay. And then I have to go and get a rapid antigen test. Quite close to here. I'll do that this afternoon. After I get the tickets, then I'll do the test, so that I have the test within 24 hours of departure. A couple of other things. I was pretty impressed by Phnom Penh Immigration and Customs, the whole procedure at the airport. Very, very smooth. I had found that when I was here during COVID, when I got vaccinated, their whole their uptake on it was so fast, and they got most of the population vaccinated very quickly. I was very, very impressed at how organised they are. They seem to have, at least, in some areas at least, a pretty good civil service. They can get the job done. And even at the airport, there was a Cambodian woman coming through just near me, and she was being dealt with by a Cambodian woman immigration officer too, and they really had a warm and friendly, sort of quite relaxed conversation with each other. I was really impressed, actually. They are lovely people, but to see, I'd never expect to have a nice, warm, friendly conversation with a New Zealand immigration official, for example, or even an American one before they process you. Americans can be quite relaxed after, they've done all the formalities. So it was quite nice. So yeah, I got through the airport no problem at all. All they wanted to see was my vaccination card, really, and there were 4 little forms that had to be filled out: a customs declaration, there was that paper sort of record of entry. I filled my name out, my birth date, my passport number so many times. I'm sick of my name, my birth date and my passport number, to tell the truth. And then again, another thing, this morning I just walked down the road here, there's a little cafe stand, Cafe Crema, really nice. I hadn't been there in over a year, and I ordered a coffee and she said no sugar, right? But that's what they like. They remember. I've gone into restaurants once and then gone back 3 or 4 months later. They remember you, and they remember, your preferences. So, nice. It's going to get hot today. It's not too hot right now. So I'll set about my task. The first thing I have to do, when you're semi-nomadic, even the simplest things can be quite difficult. I have to get a paper form printed out from my email. You'd think that would be easy, but I don't have a printer, in Ho Chi Minh City. So it becomes a matter of finding an internet cafe. I couldn't find one. I wandered around, I'm not saying they're not there, I just couldn't find one. And even when I was here another time, I walked around, I asked people, they kept pointing me in various directions. I never actually found one, but there is a place right next door to the hotel where I can get things printed. So if I get my e-visa printed, and then I can take that down with other paperwork like my vaccination record, my passport, and take that to the bus station or to the bus company, and then see if I can purchase my tickets, attempt to purchase my tickets, and then once I've done that, then I'll go and get the RAT test. So, all good so far, it works. Oh, I forgot. Let me mention a couple of downsides of what happened. Tuk-tuk driver, they can be really annoying. And just as I was coming out of customs, you know, a guy came up and asked if I wanted a tuk-tuk. I said yeah, and he asked, you know, like, how long are you here for, and blah blah, and I just said to him straight away, oh, I've been here for 2 years, but I just left for a month, because you know, trying to figure out how well you know the place, and you know, if you'll be good for future business. So I chatted to him, you know, it turned out he was from Cambodia. He grabbed my bag, meaning, you know, basically I was his customer, and so he took me over to a tuk-tuk, and then, so I guess he was like the front guy for the tuk-tuk company, and it was one of those new sort of tuk-tuks, the Indian made ones, that are actually noisier than the old homemade Cambodian style tuk-tuks, and they have less room to sit in. But the tuk-tuk driver was really annoying, you know. As soon as I got in, I mean, I know everybody has to make money, and everybody's been through a hard time the last couple of years, including travellers, and you know, he's on me straight away. You want a SIM card? I said, no, I don't want a SIM card. I don't need a SIM card. I only use my phone as a camera. Do you want entertainment? No, I just want to go, you know. And I told the other guy, and I told him I want to go to the Sweet Home Boutique Hotel. It's right by the Royal Palace on Street 184. And then we sort of, you know, go into rush hour traffic, and after some distance or some time, because it's only 6 kilometers, but it takes a long time in any sort of traffic. God knows what it's going to be like when they build the new airports, you know, 30 miles outside of the city, and whether they'll even have tuk-tuks going from there. And then we come into a place and say, oh, you can get a SIM card in there, you know. Well, I thought we'd already been through that. You know, I said, I don't need a SIM card, I don't want a SIM card. And then eventually, you know, I can't recognise the area we're in. You know, I know Phnom Penh fairly well. And then we come to this place called something Boutique Hotel. I said, no, this is not the place. So I had to tell him again, and then go over everything. You know, it's by the Royal Palace, the street number, and we keep saying it over and over again. And he still doesn't seem to know, and I said, well, just keep going that way, and when I see a landmark, you know, that I recognise, I'll be able to point you in the right direction. And then I was able to call off the street numbers to him too, you know. I said, you know, go 172, then 178, then 184. Well, he got me here eventually, and then, you know, he said, oh, tip. He, you know, he claimed that he worked for a company, and that although I'd paid the company, you know, I gave him the money was for the company, you know, could I give him a tip? And he was really insistent. I did give him a tip, but he really annoyed the hell out of me. You know, I mean, I was tired. You know, you've got so many things going through your mind. You know, you just want, you know, to get in the damn tuk-tuk and get taken to where you're asked to go. You know, if you want entertainment or a SIM card, you know, you can ask yourself. So, and what was the other thing? Oh, money. So then, you know, I'd sort of planned everything out, but when I got to the hotel, they said we'll pay in advance. Well, I didn't have a lot of cash on me. So I said, well, I'll go to an ATM and get some money. So I did. But they only give out really, you know, large denominations like $100 US bills, which is a real problem, because most of the traders here, they're small traders. You know, they don't deal in that sort of money. So you need to go to a bank or somewhere, you know, to break the money down. Well, the banks aren't open today because it's Saturday. And not only that, you can go to like a Western style store, like a supermarket, and make a purchase, or a pharmacy, Western style, not Cambodian style, and then you can hand over the large bills. But then I was thinking, well, if I have two $100 bills and I go to this sort of bus company to pay the fare, which I figure is going to be $120 for a round trip, that in normal times would cost $24. If I give them $200 for $120 in ticket, they're probably going to have a problem making up change. So where will I go? What do I need to buy that I can buy something in a Western style place so that I can have the smaller denomination of US currency, because they accept US and Cambodian here, to purchase these tickets. So that I've yet to figure out. They're the two annoyances, or the two inconveniences, or the two slight difficulties. I will be catching a tuk-tuk down to the bus company. I think it's within walking distance, but I haven't been there before, so I prefer to, get the tuk-tuk down there, and then I can walk back, once I figured out where it is, because if I can get the tickets and get the RAT test, I've made an appointment for a rapid antigen test, get that done today, then I'll be all set up for leaving early tomorrow morning for what is a 7-hour bus ride to Ho Chi Minh City. Now, I checked on Google Maps, and it said that when I travelled from when I flew from Phnom Penh to Ho Chi Minh City, I travelled 137 miles. Well, I figured it was something like that, or say under 250 kilometres. Not very far. Less than the distance from Chicago to Detroit. But say with the buses, they only go about 30 miles or 50 kilometres an hour. So they're very regular, they go along, it's very smooth, but they just don't go fast. So you're looking at a 7-hour trip, given that they stop for a meal break, and then there'll be customs immigration formalities on both sides of the border. But how would an airline flight covering a distance of 137 miles, an aeroplane travelling at 500 miles an hour? Welcome to Martin's Mysteries of Asia, a mystery of the Orient. Takes 1 hour. And how does an aeroplane travelling at 500 miles an hour take 1 hour to cover 137 miles? Or at travelling at 800 kilometres an hour, this would take 1 hour to travel less than 250 kilometres. So there's a mystery of Asia for you. Here's the e-visa, which I successfully printed out. So what can I tell you about that? Things to look out for. Alright, I went to the, it's really a photocopy place, but it has internet connection and you can use a computer. So then I tried to log into my email and I just can't log in until I realise that the keyboard is set up in Khmer or Cambodian, so I have to get the keyboard changed to English and eventually get on there, and I'm able to print the copies out. So I applied for this e-visa when I was in Vietnam. It was granted when I was in Vietnam, and I printed it out in Cambodia, although I could have printed it out in Vietnam if I had access to a printer. So that's quite straightforward. Now the other thing, when you go to these internet cafes, I know particularly with this place it happened. One time I went there to print out and I thought I'd logged out, but then I'd forgotten something and I went back and logged in the same computer, and whoop, what pops up but my email inbox open. So you have to be very diligent about that. Well, that's it for part one of this little Indo-Chinese adventure, and come back for part two, because we've got a lot more to cover, and that is getting to that bus ticket office. It doesn't offer an online service. Buying the ticket, the process you go through, then going to get the medical test, getting caught in a rainstorm, taking a break, then going down to the bus station, catching the bus, passing through some beautiful countryside, and then exiting Cambodia and entering Vietnam. There was a bit of a problem there, so I'm going to try to cover, I can't cover everything, but I can cover most things related to the Vietnamese e-visa at this time. It will change. I'm not going to, there are 3 or 4 possibilities about how this process may change. I'm not going to speculate on it. No doubt, over the next few months this thing will play out. So I did have a little problem at the border. What was that problem and how was it sorted out? So I hope this is helpful, and please come back and please subscribe to this channel if you find this content interesting. Thank you.